Hello, my name is Reets. Thank you for joining me tonight while I read a sweet bedtime story. Tonight I'm going to read Dumbo, the Flying Elephant by Helen, Aberson, and Harold Pearl. Let me know what stories you would like to hear in the comments. Sweet dreams! Spring seems to be the season for circus babies. Anyway, this particular spring was. There was a new baby lion, a new baby zebra, a baby bear, a baby hippopotamus, a baby camel, a baby giraffe, and a new baby elephant. Everyone made a great fuss over the baby elephant because he was the cutest of all. His mother Ella was very proud of him. She caressed him with her trunk while she listened to the other elephants praise him. "You can tell by his ears that he's going to be a big fellow," said one elephant. "Why, he'll probably be a regular Jumbo," remarked another. And right then and there, Mother Ella named him Jumbo. The circus was in its winter quarters down in Florida. News had come from the north that it was spring again. That meant that it was time for the circus to be on its way. For every spring, the freshly painted circus train with its loads of animals and performers left the South to visit hundreds of cities all over our country. Up and down hills, over bridges, through tunnels went the circus train, puffing proudly. Every time it went through a tunnel, the long-necked giraffes had to duck quickly. And while the circus went from city to city and town to town, the circus babies grew to be fine, big animals. Little Jumbo grew too, but not all of him. Even though he ate his bale of hay each day, only his ears grew. They grew and grew until they hung down to the ground. He often tripped over them. Everyone made fun of little Jumbo's ears. They'd say, "Come out from behind those ears." Little Jumbo was very unhappy. Mother Ella was unhappy too. One day, Jack, the elephant trainer, said he'd give Jumbo a part in the new elephant act. My, how pleased that made Mother Ella and Jumbo. Mother Ella scrubbed him extra specially clean the day before he was supposed to make his first appearance under the big top, and hung him out on the line to dry. Finally, the big day came. The tent was crowded. The band played loudly. All the people laughed and talked. The ringmaster stepped to the center of the ring, blew his whistle, and announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the most amazing spectacle ever witnessed by human eyes, 6 of the mightiest jungle beasts performing an unparalleled feat never before attempted in the history of the civilized world, the balancing elephants." 6 huge elephants filed into the tent. The first one balanced himself on a large red wooden ball. Then the second and third elephants climbed up on his back. And then the last 3 climbed up on their backs. The crowd cheered. Suddenly, the music stopped and the drums began to roll. This was Little Jumbo's signal. He was to climb up to the very tip-top of the highest elephant and stand up bravely, waving a little American flag. Mother Ella kissed him for good luck. Holding his little flag in his trunk, Jumbo started to climb up on the big elephant. He was so happy that he looked back to smile at Mother Ella. And then it happened. Jumbo tripped over one big ear and fell. The crowd shrieked with laughter. Over and over he rolled. He hit the wooden ball on which the elephants were balancing themselves. Down they tumbled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elephants. They landed with such terrific bumps that the high diver's tank bounced into the air, the trapezes danced about crazily, the people fell out of their seats, and the tent began to topple. Animals and people alike ran for safety. And when the tent collapsed completely, who should come crawling out but little Jumbo, smiling and waving his American flag. That night, the circus train carried 2 very sad elephants. One was Mother Ella, the other Little Jumbo. They had put him in the donkey car, and on his water pail they had crossed out the J in Jumbo and painted a big D. and from that moment on, little Jumbo was known as Dumbo. As further punishment, Jack and the ringmaster turned Dumbo over to the clowns. That's the worst shame that can befall an elephant. They painted a big clown grin on Dumbo's face and silly-looking eyebrows, and they put a dunce cap on his head. The people laughed until they had to hold their sides when the clowns did tricks with Dumbo's ears and truck. The fireman trick made the children shout with glee. The clowns rushed Dumbo into the ring and chased him up a ladder to the window of a toy house. The flames forced Dumbo to jump into the paper net the clowns were holding. And when Dumbo jumped, he fell through the net into a tub of mud. Twice each day, Dumbo had to do the fireman trick, while the crowd laughed at the funny little elephant dripping with mud. And all this time, poor Dumbo's heart was breaking. Each night, he cried himself to sleep, wondering how he could endure another day. Finally, one day, he decided that he just couldn't stand it any longer. Dripping with mud, he left the ring as usual. But instead of going to Mother Ella, he walked right out of the circus grounds. He didn't know or care where he was going. He only wanted to get far, far away. But before he got very far, he heard a cheerful little voice say, "What's the matter, little fellow? Did someone throw mud at you?" Dumbo quickly wiped away his tears with a big ear and looked to see who was talking to him. It was a little robin in a red vest and pearl gray derby. His name was Red. "Tell me all about it," coaxed Red as he hopped onto Dumbo's trunk. And Dumbo told Red his sad story. When he finished, Red said, "The trouble with you is that you have a complex about your ears." Dumbo didn't know what a complex is. I hope you do, but he didn't like to ask, so he just nodded his head. "I'm going to take you to a friend of mine," Red went on, "who can straighten you out. Follow me." Soon they reached a large tree with a queer-looking door, on which were printed the words, "Professor Hoot Owl, M.D., Ph.D., M.A., LL.D., Psychiatrist and Notary Public." "Ring the doorbell," ordered Red. Dumbo rang and the door swung open by itself. Red hopped in and Dumbo followed. Dumbo was just thinking that he had never seen a funnier room when Dr. Hoot Owl appeared. "Hello, Doc," said Red. "This little fellow is a pal of mine. He needs help. Fix him up, Doc." Dr. Hoot Owl immediately began to examine Dumbo. A very strange examination indeed. He tapped him with little hammers. He tickled him with feathers and shot guns off under his chair. Then he questioned him about his dreams. To each question, Dumbo answered no. Very annoyed, Dr. Hoot Owl finally asked, "Do you dream about anything?" Bashfully, Dumbo nodded his head. "Well, what?" boomed the doctor. Shyly, Dumbo called Red over and whispered in his ear. "Says he dreams about flying, Doc," said Red. "What's stopping you?" the doctor shouted at Dumbo. "If you want to fly, go ahead and fly. $10, please." "Charge it to me, Doc," said Red breezily. "Come on, Dumbo." As the door closed behind him, Red called out, "Say, Doc, how's he gonna fly?" Dr. Hoot Owl poked his head out of a little window and boomed, "That information will cost you $10 more, and this time it will be cash." Then he slammed the window shut. "Don't worry, little fellow," consoled Red. "I'll figure out a way." And figure out a way he did. He made Dumbo repeat, "I can fly," 100 times. Then he took him to the top of a high cliff and commanded, "Fly, Dumbo." Dumbo looked down and grew frightened. "I can't, Red," he whimpered. "Of course you can," encouraged Red. "Say, I can fly." And you will. Dumbo said, "I can fly," closed his eyes and jumped. Down, down, down he fell, his legs, ears, and trunk flapping. Red flew alongside, shouting, "Spread your ears! Soar! Pull yourself out of it before you crash. And suddenly, Dumbo wasn't falling anymore, but flying. Actually flying. Flying with his ears. You're an ace, that's what you are, said Red excitedly when they were on the ground once more. All you need is some practice. Dumbo beamed with happiness and pride. Every day Dumbo practiced with Red flying alongside, giving him instructions. And soon he learned to loop the loop, spiral, glide, dip, and soar, just like a bird. One day, Red said, "We're going back to the circus, little fellow, but you mustn't say a word about all this to anyone. I have a plan that'll make us rich and famous, but we must wait until the time is right." It sounded very mysterious to Dumbo, but he trusted Red, so he agreed. Mother Ella was very thankful to see her son again, and she was so pleased to see his friend Red, too. Dumbo took his place in the clown act and did the hateful fireman trick. But he didn't mind a bit now because he had a wonderful secret to think about, and because Red was always there to encourage him. After a few weeks, the circus came to Madison Square Garden. Now this was the most important spot on the circus schedule. All the performers looked forward to it eagerly. They practiced extra hard so their acts would be just perfect. Even the clowns improved their act. They made the platform from which Dumbo jumped much higher so that the people would laugh harder. Thousands of children and grown-ups came to Madison Square Garden on opening day. The band played louder than ever. The crowd cheered merrily. And soon the show got underway. The clowns ran into the ring, shouting and tumbling and pulling Dumbo's ears. They chased him up the ladder and held out the paper net for him. But just as Dumbo was about to jump into the net, Red flew up to him and whispered, "Now's the time, Ace. Let him have it." Dumbo was suddenly very frightened. He couldn't remember how to fly. He was so ashamed he just closed his eyes and fell. Red shouted instructions at him, but Dumbo didn't seem to hear. He kept right on falling. And just as Red, almost in tears, had given up, Dumbo straightened his ears, dipped low, and flew. There was a loud gasp from the crowd. The circus performers looked at each other in wonder. Dumbo flew in and out of the trapezes. He looped the loop, dipped, circled, and soared. Then he swooped down low, scooped up a trunkful of water from the high diver's tank, and shot it at the clowns. And he spanked the ringmaster with his trunk. Then he soared right through the door out onto the street. Outside, he caused a general panic. Women screamed, men hid in doorways, policemen blew whistles, automobiles jumped curbs. Dumbo, scared at what he had done, flew back to the garden. He was greeted with cheering and applause. He came to a graceful landing and bowed to all the people. "You're famous, Ace," said Red proudly, "as I said you'd be." Dumbo nodded happily and bowed once again to the still wildly cheering crowd. Then he ran over to Mother Ella and kissed her. Dumbo became the star of the circus. People talked about him from one end of the country to the other. All the circus posters advertised, "Dumbo, the flying elephant." Everyone flocked to see him. And when the ringmaster announced him, he said, "Dumbo, the flying elephant, the 8th wonder of the world, the only flying elephant in captivity." He had his own private car on the circus train. On it was named Dumbo in gold letters, and he had servants to wait on him. And, of course, Mother Ella and Red shared all the splendor with him. And the last we heard, they were on their way to Hollywood. For Dumbo is going to act in the movies. The end.